What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. Link will be in the description box below as usual. Go get it. PayPal link there also. They asked me to put it up, so I'll put it up. Thanks everybody for supporting. This video is entitled Just Because You're Broke Doesn't Mean You're Worthless. Sometimes we look at it like, if a person's broke, they can't do much. That's not true. A lot of us come from poor circumstances, and we've been broke before, or we're broke now. A lot of people who are working poor, you know what I'm saying, working class, which means a couple of paychecks from being broke, right? So if you're a couple of paychecks from being broke and you look at somebody else is broke as if they're worthless, they're not. I mean, there are people who are functional, productive members of society who don't make as much as other people. That doesn't make them worthless. Being lazy is one thing. Being broke is another. And the reason I say that is because there are people out here who don't deserve to be looked down on because they're broke. They go to work, they work hard. They may not have the best education or the best job or the best living circumstance, but they're not worthless. I grew up, have family members in the projects, and I lived a lot of different places because we moved around a lot. So I was one of those kids that moved a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I probably say by the time I was 17, because I graduated high school at 17, I probably lived in 10 to 17 different places. By that time. I'm just saying. I could really think of 10 of them off the top of my head. But somebody is broke and they keep themselves clean, they're not worthless. They don't have as much money as people. If they take care of the things that they work for and they bought and they earned, they're people who have some value. The old statement where if you don't take care of what God gives you, he might not give you more. There are people who are broke who are taking care of what God's given them, and they're doing the best with it. A lot of the people that people idolize and want to emulate were broke. They were broke, and they worked themselves into being rich, right? Or middle class or upper class, right? However you want to look at it. But those people were broke too. It's not like they just had a dollar in a dream, right? Being broke doesn't make you worthless, because being broke doesn't mean you're not gonna lack effort, ambition, and drive. It doesn't mean you're not gonna have a work ethic. It doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to turn a negative into a positive, or turn nothing into something. So it doesn't make you worthless. Some people, come from the wrong side of the tracks. But that doesn't make them less people as the people who come from the right side of the tracks. Because a lot of people don't want to admit this, but there are a lot of broke people who made it to the middle class and the upper class, and the people in their very same generation have only been in the middle class or upper class. They never took it up a level or two. They've been in the very same place that their parents put them, the very same position that their parents put them in. They couldn't take it up a notch, But if you were broke, if you started broke and you worked your way up, at least you took it to another level. I think I'm better off at my age than my parents were at my age. I can say that. And my grandparents, I could say that to a degree. My great grandparents, not so much. But sometimes, when we beating up on people of, that guy's broke. He might be broke right now, but who is he? Man make the money. Money never made the man. And sometimes we overlook the people who are great people because of their financial circumstance at the moment. That same broke person can wind up being a person who has means, but the person who they are is what winds up on both sides of broke and rich, or broke and, you know, middle class or whatever. People can be broke and be good people. I remember when Katrina happened, I was already living here in Houston, and I had an apartment, and I had a bedroom set and a futon. That's it at the time. And at the time, one of my college roommates came with his wife, and you know, he cracked up and he said, you know, the funny part about it is, I told my wife that we have family and friends that got more than you, but you'll make us feel more welcome with the little stuff you got than they'll make us feel welcome with all the stuff that they got. And, you know, I was working, but I didn't have much. You get what I'm saying? So, but I could give what I had. Then after they left, my grandmother and my aunt came because they were in, they evacuated to Baton Rouge, and then they came. And my grandfather came, and eventually I wound up getting living room furniture because of that. But I could say I was broke, and they lost everything, but I wasn't worthless, right? I had friends that would come and stay even in that apartment from time to time. And that didn't mean I was worthless. I'd go out on dates, and I could pay for a date, but I wasn't going to go out on too many dates because I wind up in the negative, right? But I wasn't worthless. You know, I worked and started saving money, blah, blah, blah. Then worked more, worked overtime. Then, you know, some years later, maybe about 2 or 3 years later, I got this house. I think. Might have been 2 or 3 years. Yeah. Not rich now, but I understand, like I talked about previously, when I was in college, I was homeless. You know, and I remember dating, I had a girlfriend, but in some ways she looked down on me because, you know, I wound up being homeless, but I was still going to college. I wasn't, quote unquote, a productive member of society, a productive man at the time. But to me, I'm a college student trying to make it. But I didn't see myself as worthless. I saw myself as broke. You get what I'm saying? I worked overnight at Walmart on a night shift. And then when the night shift was over, I went to school. Then when school was over, I had an internship at one time, and then I wound up had to give that up because I didn't have a place to sleep really. And I wish I didn't have to, but because I had an internship with Universal Records, and that's what I wanted to do. And then I wound up getting a part-time job with an insurance company, and wound up, you know, that was my day, you know, for like the last year and a half of me being in college. I want to say it was a minute. Maybe last year and something like that. And I remember I was broke. I couldn't eat. I went to school. I transferred to play football, but I really couldn't play football to compete because at that point I was only eating once a day, so I had no energy, and I was working at night and going in the daytime because I had transferred schools or whatever because I got in kind of issues with the coach at the previous college. But because of all that, I was broke. But I didn't see myself as worthless. I still had ambitions. I still had goals. I still had dreams. I still had aspirations. And I can say from my own experience that, you know, it's hard for me to, you know, if you're lazy, I got an issue with you. But if you're broke, not really. Because you can wind up working your way into getting more. Sometimes when you're broke, I can say being broke doesn't put you in a room with people who give you the information to get it. You get what I'm saying? Some people have a better business acumen than other people. But when you're broke, you're not in the rooms. You don't have capital. You don't know how to create capital. You don't being broke doesn't necessarily put you in an entrepreneurial mindset because you're in survival mode sometimes. Few people go from survival mode to entrepreneurial mode at the same time. So, but for people out there, if you feel like you broke, you're not. You might be financially broke, but you're not broken. You're not worthless. Just work on getting to a better space, and you will. That's just my thoughts. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.